Hey you guys, in today's video we're going to be talking about my top 10 fall eyeshadow palettes. Now these are in no particular order. I just felt like maybe giving you guys some recommendations and suggestions on some fall time appropriate eyeshadow palettes. I picked out some really good ones. I'm excited to use these. I don't know if I mentioned in my video, but I plan on having these palettes sitting on top of my vanity so I could play with it this time of the year. I have my pumpkin spice latte. I am so ready to do this video. I cannot wait. I do have a couple of these eyeshadow palettes on my eyes today. I did do a all matte eye look. So yeah, if you guys enjoy these types of videos, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would love if you would subscribe. Now let's get into these fall time eyeshadow palettes. The first one I want to talk about, I am wearing on my eyes today along with one other shade from another palette, but we'll get into that. I am talking about the Melt Cosmetics Rust palette. Now I will be the first person to say I do not really care for Melt's eyeshadow formula. They are very hard to work with, and the shimmer shades are very flaky and messy, but this is an exception. This palette is so good. Now I will say I haven't played with the shimmers in this palette yet. I did go ahead and do an all matte look today, so I haven't really played with the shimmer, so I'm not 100% sure, but based off what I've already used in this palette, I really do enjoy. This is the good formula from Melt. It's blendable, it's pigmented, it's not flaky. I didn't get a lot of fallout like I thought I was gonna get. I don't even think I got fallout, to be honest. But yeah, this is just a perfect palette for the fall time. Just looks like this. You have your mustard yellow, you have your brow bone, or a shade to set your eyeshadow primer if you use eyeshadow primer. You have a really dark shade you could use. I actually use this shade in the outer corner. You have your shimmers that you could use. You have different shades, and yeah, this just reminds me of fall so much. Even the packaging reminds me of fall, like just the aesthetic of it. I really do like the packaging of it, and this is one of those packagings from Melt that's not like over the top and obnoxious like some of the other palettes that she's came out with. But yeah, I just really do enjoy this palette a lot, and this is a great fall time palette, and I cannot wait to use it some more in the next couple of months. The next eyeshadow palette I want to mention, I have not been able to use just yet, but I plan on using it for a upcoming video, and then I plan to use it a lot more during the fall time. I am talking about the Anastasia Beverly Hills Nuvo palette. Now this reminds me so much of fall from the packaging. It's green. It kind of goes with my shirt a little bit, huh? But yeah, just the way the packaging looks like, and then the inside is just so pretty. Now this did come out, I want to say like towards the end of summertime, or maybe even the middle of summertime, and I just felt like this is not a summertime palette. This is more of a fall winter time palette in my opinion, because you got these greens, these darker colors over here. I think the only shade that reminds me of summertime is the purple. That's it. And I think that that is such an odd color to put in this palette, just because when you look at the packaging, that's the first thing I think of is fall time. And then when I open it, I'm just like, really? Like, that purple's kind of throwing me off, but I know I could work with it. It's just not something that I think should have been in this palette. And like I said, I don't think this was a summertime palette in my opinion, but I do plan on using it a lot during the fall time. The next palette I want to talk about, now I didn't realize this when I picked it out, but I think I just barely figured it out. This palette is no longer available, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people have this in their collection already. But I am talking about the ColourPop and Raw Beauty Kristi At Forest Sight. Yeah, At Forest Sight palette. This is what the packaging looks like, and then you open it up and it looks like this. Now I'm so ashamed. There are a couple palettes in here that I have not used, and again, this is one of the palettes that I have not used, but I hope I can use this palette. I just, when I got it, it was just I think this one came to me kind of slow, so I think that's why I didn't get to use it when I needed to use it and like review it and all that. But I have it in my collection, and yeah, just these greens, and then you have this gold, and then you have these like dark colors right here. And yeah, I just really think this is a great palette for the fall time, and I do plan on using this palette this fall time. And yeah, it's just really pretty, and the names are so cute, and these are my colors. Maybe not so much this blue, but the rest of the colors are good, and this is more of a colorful fall palette for me, I think. So yeah, I can't wait to use this palette. Next palette I want to talk about is another ColourPop palette, and this is the Lusk for Dusk palette. It just looks like this, and then when you open it up, it looks like this. Again, this is newer to my collection, so I have not been able to use it, but that's the reason why I picked it up, was because I felt like this was going to be a really good fall time palette for me, so I cannot wait to try this out. Again, you have these colors down here that remind me of fall a lot, and then up here you have more colorful colors. I really do think this palette's going to be a nice one for fall time, and I cannot wait to try it out. I don't think this has any pressed glitters. I hope not. This Quiet Storm kind of does look like it, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, this is just a fall time color story in my opinion, and yeah, I just cannot wait to try it out. And then of course the packaging is beautiful. This reminds me so much of fall time. The next palette I want to talk about, I have used plenty of times. I am talking about the Nabla Side by Side palette. I love this palette. Like, you could tell I've gotten some great use out of this palette. I think maybe this bottom row doesn't look so much like fall time, but you can incorporate it into a look. But those colors right there screams fall time to me. This is just a beautiful palette, and I love this palette. I know I'm gonna get a lot of use with this palette during this time of season. And yeah, this is just so beautiful. If you guys did not snag this up during the 21 days of sale, I don't think it was this year. Was it this year or was it last year? I don't remember, but if you guys didn't snag it up when it was 50% off, you guys totally missed out. I didn't think I was gonna swatch. I probably should have swatched some shades out of these palettes, but let me go ahead and do that right now so you guys could see. But that's what some of those colors look like. This gold one right here, it's not my favorite, but it is a fall time color. But yeah, that's what those colors look like. And yeah, this is just such a beautiful palette. Like, you can tell I've used the heck out of this palette, and yeah, it's just so beautiful. And this is, I think, out of all the palettes that I'm going to talk about today, this is my favorite palette for fall, and beautiful, beautiful palette. Highly recommend taking this out of your collection if you have it and using it up this fall season. Okay, this is the last palette that I have not tried out, but I wanted to talk about it. This is from Juvia's Place, and this is the Nomad palette. I was gonna say collection. I was thinking about what is that other brand? I forgot the name. I can't even think right now. But anyways, this screams fall to me. You have these green deep colors, you have these brown mustardy colors, you have this yellow color right here. This is just a great palette for the fall time, especially if you don't want to like do like browns or, you know, not mustard, but like browns and like burnt oranges. You have this palette, perfect green palette with the pop of neutral colors. This just looks so pretty to me, and I cannot wait to do a look with this during the fall time. Okay guys, the next palette I want to talk about, I did incorporate in my look today with the Rust palette. Now, this palette doesn't look like I've used it, but trust me, I have used it. I'm just very light-handed with it. But I am talking about the Artist Couture Supreme Nudes palette. This palette is so good, you guys. And the packaging is so compact. I love packaging like this. But look at these colors. Oh my god, this is so beautiful. You have your golds, you have your greens, you have your browns, you have your light tones, you have everything you need for the fall time with this palette. I absolutely love this palette. This is just such a great fall time palette. It's easy to work with, it's blendable, it's pigmented, it doesn't have a lot of fallout. I love this palette so much, and I highly recommend, if you do not have this in your collection, to pick it up this fall time season, because this would be a great palette to use. And even if you do have it in your collection, take it out, use it. It's such a good palette. Like I said, it looks like I haven't really been using it, but trust me, I've been playing with this palette a lot. It hardly has any fallout when I use it, so I think that's why it doesn't look like I've used it a lot, but I have used it and I absolutely love this palette. Okay, you guys, I have a couple Natasha Denona palettes I want to talk about. The first one is the Bieber palette. Now, I know this is pricey, but oh my god, you guys, this is such a pretty palette, and it is so good for fall time. You have a black, you have a brow bone shade, you have some shimmers, you have your browns, you have your oranges, you have your rust colors, you have everything you need in this palette. This is such a good palette. Now, it did take me a little bit longer to get this palette because I was like, do I really need it? It's really pricey, I'm not sure. But I was so glad I got this palette. It is so worth the hype. The hype is real with this palette. It's pigmented. Now, yes, it does get messy. I don't really care for the packaging, but it's just a, you know, being a brat type of thing situation. But it's just really nice palette. I like the pigment. I like the color story. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I highly recommend, if you do not have this in your collection for this fall time, to pick it up because it's such a nice palette. And I think if you can, I think the Sephora Friends and Family sale is happening right now. If you can get a Sephora employee to give you a code, I would definitely pick this up. Or even during the Sephora sale that's going to happen, I think the end of this month, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, you have to get some money off of this palette. This is just such a really beautiful palette. I really do like this palette a lot. Let me go ahead and swatch some of these for you real quick. I'll swatch the black. Let's do this, and this. Like, look at those colors. Now, the black, I would have preferred it to be like a matte black. This is not a matte black, but it still is really pretty, especially when you put it on the eyes. And oh my god, like, look at how nice that was. One swatch, you guys. Like, that is such a good swatch, and it's not like patchy. It's pigmented. It's just so bomb. I highly recommend this palette, and like I said with the other palettes, I cannot wait to use this some more during this season. Okay guys, the last Natasha Denona palette I want to talk about is the new palette she just came out with, My Dream palette. This palette is bomb. I really do like this palette a lot. You have your multi-chrome, you have your black. This is the blackest black. I'm so glad she put the multi-chrome and the blackest black in one of these palettes, just because I feel like this is such a great beginner palette for Natasha Denona. Like, if you don't have any Natasha Denona palettes in your collection, this would be the one to pick up. You have your dark colors for like the winter time, then you have your, you know, fall colors right here, or you could even mix and match, you know, it doesn't matter. This palette is so good, and you could tell for as short of a time that I've had this palette, you could tell like I've really been playing with this palette a lot. Look at, there's that shift on that multi-chrome. It's purple, gold, green. Like, oh, it's so beautiful. I love this palette. I'm so glad she came out with this palette, and I highly recommend picking this up if you don't have it in your collection already. Great fall time palette. Okay, you guys, and the last palette I want to recommend for the fall time is a new one, and it's one of my favorites so far this year. This is from Tarte, and it's the After Dark Man Eater palette. You guys, this is such a great palette. Look at all those colors. Like, this screams fall to me. This is such a fall palette. You have your yellows, you have your burgundies, you have your green, you have your neutral colors, you have your dark colors, you even have a black in here. Like, this is such a good palette. I can't even talk. Like, it's that good. Let me swatch some of these for you. The black is pretty good in here. The shimmers are pretty good as well. The mattes are good. Let me do this matte up here. That's what the colors look like. Like, this is such a great quality palette. Tarte really killed it with this palette. I know there's some people who are not gonna like this palette, but I love this palette. Like, look at that. Again, one swatch and it's just so nice. It is kind of big, but it is thin packaging, so that doesn't really bother me. But these colors just scream fall to me. Very pretty. I cannot wait to use this green. I haven't used the green yet, but I am so excited to use it. I'll probably use like the green for Thanksgiving maybe. We'll see. I plan on using this palette because I just really love this palette. And if you haven't picked up a Tarte palette or you've been eyeing this palette, I highly recommend picking it up. And this is just a great palette for the fall time. I'm not sure. I don't think it had a lot of fallout when I used it, but I think I probably looked past it if it did, just because I was so impressed with this palette. I don't think it did, to be honest, but this palette is just so nice and great fall time palette. Alright, you guys, those were my top 10 fall eyeshadow palettes. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it inspired you to go through your collection and pick out some fall palettes. Like I said, I will have these palettes on top of my vanity and try to use them as much as I can during the fall season this year, because like I said, these are some really great eyeshadow palettes, and yeah, I'm just so excited to use them. But until the next time, I will catch you guys later. Bye!